What's going on, Papa Fam? Welcome back. Day 4 of the 5-day Airbnb React and Next.js challenge. Let me know where you guys are watching from. Get ready, it's gonna be sick. We're gonna be doing so much new stuff today I've not done on this channel before. So get hyped. It's gonna be fun, guys. It's gonna be so much fun. We got Pedro in the house, Deezer in the house, Aman, Sanjay, Zishan, Rudy, Natasha, Khalid, Mohib, Fernando. What's up, guys? Good to see everyone tuning in. Tazar, Italy in the house, Prashun. Hey, look at this. Get ready, guys. Welcome to day 4 of the 5-day Airbnb challenge. Let's kickstart, guys. Solomon, Tajwed, Juan. Hey. Welcome, guys. Day 4. Jintaras, Tushar, Yusuf, Archit, Ahmet, Benkar, Martin. What's up, guys? I love seeing the growth over these couple of days. You guys have been awesome coming back. William's back, Natasha's back, Yusuf's back. Hey, this is awesome, guys. Let me go ahead and give you a demo of what we're going to be doing today. So this is the Airbnb 5-day challenge. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what we're building in today's build. So this is what we went ahead and built yesterday. An awesome Airbnb search results and calendar functionality build. So it was pretty fun. We actually went ahead and included this loading sort of indicator as well. So we went ahead and type in London. We got 10th to the 20th. Let's go ahead and say 2, hit search, load it over to the next page, which server side rendered itself. And then we went ahead and had this beautiful page. So today, Papa Fam, today we are introducing Mapbox into the world of, the Papa Fam. I've never done that before. So we're going to go ahead and show you how you can go ahead and take your build and include this awesome map inside of it, guys. So this map is going to load the actual markers from the search results onto a map, dynamically center it around all of the markers from the search results, and then it's going to have some nice little styling behind it as well. And I'm going to teach you all of this today and how you can go ahead and have it just as responsive as I have it. So only show it on the larger screens. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be so much fun. Awesome. We have Gustavo Antonio. Welcome to all the new Papa Fam special tier members. There's a new shiny join button at the bottom of the screen. Make sure you hit it if you're going to support the Papa Fam. I appreciate you guys so much. This is awesome. Smash the thumbs up button if you're excited for today. And let's go ahead and jump into day 4 of the challenge, guys. If you're pumped up, let me know right now by typing in "I am ready" for day 4. And only the real ones are going to keep on coming back. Because this is a 5-day challenge. This is tiring, right? You make it through the days and you got to push in, you got to dig deep. That's why I don't make it 2 days. That's why I don't make it 3 days. That's why I make it 5 days, okay? So make sure you go ahead and get ready for this one. We've got Darwin, Web Builders. Pedro says, I'm ready. Nice path. Yusuf as, oh my God, look at that. Lord, if you're not watching this with the chat on, I really recommend you turn the chat on when you're watching this and see the energy that we have flying through today. So if you haven't already reserved your spot for Sunday's training, right? So if you don't already know, this is day 4 of the 5-day challenge. We have a day break tomorrow. That's because it's been intense, right? I want you guys to go ahead and finish off the Mapbox homework, which you're going to go ahead and learn today. And then I want you guys to go ahead and have a break, submit all your homework, get the best chance of winning all the prizes. And that way we can go ahead and crush it with a full set of energy on Sunday, where most people are pretty much going to have some free time available. We're going to go ahead and kill it with a free training, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and release my ebook, which you guys have never seen before. So that's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. We've got, oh, this is nice. We have so many new names. Matt Larson, what's up, dude? Good to see you here. Art 3 minutes, he goes, I'm still here, Sonny. Let's go. Michael Gurge is always coming in with the positivity. On day 5, which is again on August 8th, the day after tomorrow, where you're going to get a free ebook. You have to turn up. I know who turns up. So many people register and they want that free ebook. You have to turn up to get the book. You have to turn up to get, also I've got like a bunch of prizes going on, right? And everyone is going to get something on that day, right? Not just one thing. I've got about 3 or 4 different bonus prizes for everyone who participated, as well as the prizes, right? So make sure you turn up, guys. That is, I put some of my heart and soul into that book, okay? So make sure you go there. Andre, what's up, dude? He says, boss mode engaged. That's what we're talking about. Join the official Papa Fam Discord server If you want a bit of a support, we actually have over 5,000. I need to update this. It's grown so quick. 5,000 plus members in the Discord server right now. Perfect place to go ahead and socialize. It's going to be so much fun. We have the official Papa Fam Facebook group. 4th link in the description. This is where you're going to find all the information. Even this video is going to be streamed over to that group, as well as YouTube and Twitch. So make sure you're there. You're going to actually get all the homework links, everything you need, and you're going to get support if you get stuck. Share and use Papa Challenge, increase your chances. You know this stuff, guys. Pull out your phone, tell me that you're watching today, tag me and hashtag Papa Challenge to make sure you represent this huge challenge we're killing it with so far. Mosso, what's up? We've got Kosovo in the house. Valen M tuning in again. What's up, dude? We're going to learn everything that you see here today. So we've already touched on some React, some Next.js, some Tailwind, some Versal. But today, guys, we're going to learn Mapbox. And this is going to be something which you can take away and, include it in your own build, your freelancing gigs, whether you go to a job. If you ever need a map inside of a project, Mapbox is an awesome way to go. So, guys, thank you for tuning in. We have crushing it today with the amount of people turning up. And we have so many likes running in. We have got over hundreds of likes right now. Let's go ahead and carry on. Who's ready to integrate the Mapbox functionality? And if you have already used Mapbox, let me know. All right, let me know. And someone's saying, where's Dash at? Hey, yeah, where is Dash Santosh at? Everyone knows that guy right now. He's killing it. Dev Mental Live, what's up, dude? Mexico in the house. Time to focus, right? Time to focus. I'm going to go ahead and actually put on a different song right now. Let's change it up. Change it up, guys. Time to focus. I want you guys to put on your phones on Do Not Disturb. That's what I do before I go ahead and kickstart this training. But we're going to go ahead and get dialed in right now. Let's go over some quick reminders. It's a challenge. There are some rules. This is what we're going to be building today, right? So this is going to be your homework at the end of today's build. Whether you're watching it now, live, whether you're watching it, in 6 months' time, whatever the case, make sure you get the homework done. And the reason being is because you show up, you do the thing that we're teaching you to do today, and then you're going to go ahead and learn. So that's what I would say. You need to go ahead and do this. Oh, Robin says, I use Mapbox for maps at my work. That's awesome, dude. Crazy stuff. Carry on. Day 4 agenda. We're going to review all the best submissions. So we've got a nice little fun part going on to get things kickstarted today. We're going to reward those juicy bonus points. We're going to integrate a fully functional map using Mapbox, and we're going to go ahead and complete the Airbnb build. Now, that doesn't mean we're completing the challenge. Like I said, you have to go ahead and register for day 5, right? That's a registration event in order to get the ebook. You have to do that. Otherwise, I don't know who's actually there or not, right? We will push the code to GitHub after this, and then you're going to deploy it like you've already been doing in the last 2 days, and then you're going to submit that as your homework, and we're going to go ahead and check them out, okay? This is sick. This is the point system reminder. If you want to go ahead and win some of the juicy prizes, we have £10,000 worth of prizes in this challenge. Here's the point system. Quick reminder, 1 point for sending a message, 2 points for tagging me in any post. So pull up your phone. Story Ammon says he's already done it. Amazing stuff. Oh, we have Dash Santosh in the house. What's up, dude? 3 points if you help someone out with your homework. I really do like the fact you guys are showing up and helping people out, by the way. That's what the Papa Fam is about. 4 points for referring someone to this challenge. And if they win, or if you win, they're going to win as well. So, it's a huge bonus point. 5 points for every homework submission. So naturally, the best way to go ahead and actually win this thing is submit your homework, right? And all you need to do is submit it before day 5. And then I can tally up your points and get you in for that winning chance. Reminders of what you can win. First place, Diamond Mentorship Experience. Second place, 3 Platinum winners. And third place is 50% off our Platinum membership. So we got a bunch of winners, guys. It's going to be fun. This is what you need to do before day 5. We've got day 1, 2, 3, and 4 homework. It's not a requirement. You can still turn up to day 5 and learn a ton of stuff. But I would really recommend if you want to win the prize, right, and you want to win this challenge, you do it. And also, if you want to go ahead and actually crush it as a developer, you need to put in some work. So make sure you go ahead and hustle and get that done. This is where you can find the homework submission links, as well as the link in the description. This was your homework for yesterday. So we're going to go into the fun portion before we kickstart this build. Your homework was to build out the search and calendar date picker functionality, where you can search for available places and load out the results. Now, what am I talking about, right? This is all about how we use state to go ahead and load out a calendar date picker. So how you can go ahead and select a couple of values, hit search, and then server-side render results. Now, you guys pulled through with this, and you actually crushed it, right? Tino's in the house. What's up, dude? You tuned in at the right time. That's all I'm going to say, man. We received over 200 builds for day 3. That's That's crazy. I've never had that many people submit homework for the absolute the third day part of the challenge. Usually it kind of dips, which naturally happens because, you know, people don't stick it out. But 200 plus builds. Let's go ahead and check out some of these builds. Now, if you get featured on a build, it's going to be an automatic 10-point bonus to you, right? So Jay, get ready for these people who are about to show up on the screen right now. We have Ali Makongo, Nathan Downer. If you guys are in the chat right now, make some noise. It's your moment of fame. You guys crushed it. Literally implemented the homework perfectly. Right? It was amazing. I loved it. It was super smooth and easy to use. Incredible stuff, guys. Well done. We have Hao Ming Chiang. And again, if I pronounce anything wrong, I apologize. And we have Louise Cruz. You guys, again, crushed it, guys. And actually, I noticed you actually went ahead and filled in the hearts over here. So that's pretty cool. Nice little touch. Thank you so much, guys, for submitting your homework. We have Tanisha Chowdhury, Camilo Cabrera. As always, every single day she's been featured because she's killing it. You guys, girl power, absolutely crushing it. Keep on hustling and get today's work in as well, because you guys are on a good rolling spree right now to go ahead and win the final prize. Keep it up, guys. We have Jamie Davies. You're in the chat right now. I saw you. Make some noise. Absolutely crushed it. And we have Joanne. I'm going to give this one a try. Insignares, right? Maybe pronounced that wrong, but well done, dude. Absolutely crushed it. Now, here's the juicy builds, okay? The juicy builds. I'm going to go ahead and quickly give them a demonstration. You guys are going to have some fun with it. Dash. We all know Dash. If you've been here for any amount of time, oh, Dash has been killing it. Andre Gant, welcome, dude, to the Papa Fam special tier. He hit that little join button, and now he is a loyal member of the Papa Fam on the YouTube channel. Thank you so much, dude. Appreciate you. You stand out massive when you chat now. It's crazy. So that's why we did it. But let's go ahead and click on Dash Santosh. You ready for this, guys? Look at this build. He got featured yesterday because he'd done such a sick build. But this already looks incredible. Now, if I go ahead and type what? I just clicked it and it worked. Look at this, guys. We can go ahead and click 9 to 13. We've got the adults. We've even got children. I didn't even do this children section, right? So this is looking absolutely clean, dude. Now, I'm not sure what is happening here, but I've actually went ahead and done this. I did this earlier and it was actually working perfectly. But for some reason, let's go ahead and give it a little refresher. And let's go to, oh, I didn't type in the destination. That's why, maybe, perhaps. Yep, that's why. Let's go ahead and hit search. And then look, we get the loading indicator. Good stuff, dude. And boom, look at this. Looks awesome. Some reason your pictures aren't loading, but nevertheless, it looks incredible. And he's gone ahead and added additional styling at the top, as well as this lovely little, we've got this little, pictures. You can select how many pictures you want there. And we even have this little pagination tool, which is more visual, but it's an awesome little finishing touch. I do want to mention, guys, by the way, one, he's added his little finishing touch there. That's awesome. As well as a little border. But if you ever do have buttons, make sure you do cursor pointer. Please make sure you do cursor pointer, okay? I always shout that out, but well done, Dash Touch. You're absolutely killing it. Keep on doing what you're doing. Dean Barber once again comes through clutch. This is the one where I said the overuse of animations can come across a bit annoying, but well done, dude. You've killed it. Let's check this out. Let's go ahead and say London 9th to 20th, and let's go ahead and hit 2. Oh wow, look at that. You see how oh, that's cool. And let's click on search. We got the nice and big loader in this case. He wanted me to see it. A nice little finishing touch on your one, dude. That looks awesome. I really do like it. Really nice little finishing. I just like, oh nice, look at that. Oh. Nice little spinning ball. I think I was on the first one, but anyway, looks sick. Well done, dude. Dean Barber, Law Sosa. I'm going to go ahead and show you on that. That's what I like, right? That's from the portfolio. I've seen a couple of portfolios doing that, but looks really nice. Ali Makongo says, thanks for the mention, dude. You are absolutely welcome. Crushed it. Oh, he's taken some design inspiration from, we have some of Tino's signature styling right here. If you guys know who I'm saying right now, you've been a loyal follower. Dimple, what, Matthew? Thank you for becoming a Papa Fam special tier member. Again, hit the join button if you want to support the Papa Fam and get a nice little loyalty badge next to your name. Thank you so much, dude, for supporting the fam. Let's go ahead and type in London. Okay, nice. I would definitely say if you do this, touch the bottom. Or maybe he did. It's just a bit strange. But yeah, touch the bottom so that way you don't have this little gap. Let's click search. Okay, I like the little transparency, by the way. Okay, nice. We got a little transparent top right here. So this was pretty good. Really good stuff, dude. Well done for your effort. Law Sosa. Marlon Clay. Okay. Now this one I really did like again. those of you who have actually gone ahead and implemented this design, well done. I have to say, it looks so clean. Even the way you go ahead and do this transition. Let's go ahead and click on the, okay, one sec. Let's go ahead and click on the search. So we got London. Let's do 8th to 12th, and let's go ahead and add 3 search. Nice, and let's go. Okay, so you've actually added a max width, which I like, and I would have actually suggested that to a lot of you. It's a very good practice to add in a max width to your overall parent container. Awesome stuff, dude. Continue going on. Oh, Marlon's in the chat as well. Nice, good work, dude. Awesome stuff. Guys, we actually have over 300 people tuning in right now. That's crazy for day 4. I can't even believe it. You guys are incredible. We have Romania in the house as well. Nice, awesome stuff, guys. But yeah, that's looking clean. Well done, dude. And then my favorite till last, right? My absolute favorite. And I don't know if you guys can guess it already, but go ahead and try and guess it right now. And also, well done to everyone who has actually gone ahead and got a feature. But you guys know who it is. Tino Taylor. Dude, absolute sick. Look how he's got a nice loader, a preloader. Look at this. So we already had our favorite yesterday, right? This was looking sick. We had the little, 3D animation. We had the parallax effect from yesterday. So I'm just going over yesterday's build because it was so goddamn clean. But look at this, man. Honestly, look at the design here. And let's go ahead and hit search. We can type in London. And just, oh my God, look at that. It just makes your user want to play it. And look, we even have button design, and he's even gone to the effort. Can you see how sleek? And I noticed this stuff as a designer. This is nice, dude. Let's go ahead and do like a 3 and hit search. Okay, I need to, oops, I didn't actually put dates in. So let's go ahead and pop in. Okay, there we go. We've got 6. I did do date. Oh, it did the today. That's fine. And then we've got this. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Look how it actually, look, dude, that looks sick, man. It actually goes ahead and gives you a bigger view, pops it in so you know that's the one that you're looking at in context right now. Guys, give Tino again some noise, man. That is, you deserve it, dude. That was actually awesome. And I love how you've kept the design language here. You see, he's kept the actual design language, even to the point where the same shadow is being used for that box. That's the small things that designers are gonna pick up on. And look at that, we even uses a responsive header over there. That hero icon, looking great, Tino. Well done. Absolutely crushing it every single day. Man, you deserve it. Well done to everyone, and to everyone I featured before. 10 bonus points to you all. So absolutely crushing it, guys. You guys are doing awesome. Really, really great stuff. So many impressive builds. Go ahead and let me know now. Let's pick a crowd favorite and give them an extra 5 points. Go ahead and name your favorite person right now. What was your favorite build, right? And I'm gonna go ahead and leave these on the screen just for a second while we have a water break. So go ahead and let me know who's the favorite build right now. Smash the thumbs up button while you're at it. Right, Tino is one of the winners. Oh, Sam says, how do you deal with hay fever? You know, it's a struggle, dude. That's the truth, it's a struggle. Okay, we have Dash and Tino. A lot of them are going towards Tino. I'm gonna give Tino the extra 5 points. All right, Tino, dude, you deserve it. 5 points, incredible stuff. Jay, if you just saw something as well, that was jokes. Absolutely crushing it. Right, let's keep on going. So many impressive builds. And you guys have been helping each other out a ton. I always see it. Lewis, I saw you helping out here. Oh no, Armando, sorry, was helping out Lewis. We had Dimple, Matthew helping out Piyush. Was absolutely awesome, guys. Satya jumping in here. And also, you can just see, like, even in the Discord community, so much positivity. And look, Rosen's shouting himself out. Again, amazing stuff, guys. No shame, awesome stuff. Marco, this is what we're talking about. This is why we do what we do. Welcome as well, Babatunde, to the Papa Farm special tier. Guys, so many members are joining the YouTube membership. Make sure you join if you want to go ahead and get that nice little loyalty badge so I can shout you out. It makes it easy for me to see who you are when you're talking, so I can actually spot you guys out in the craziness of chat, right? And if you're watching this back, definitely turn on the chat. You're gonna have a bit of fun. Let's continue on, guys. Let's integrate the Mapbox functionality, right? Smash the thumbs up button if you're excited about how we're gonna do this, or if you want to even, you've always wanted to know how to do this stuff. But yeah, yo, love from Nigeria, Sunny Babatunde. Nice, good stuff, dude. Welcome. We have a Bien Coda. We have a Michael. Oh, this is cool, man. Let's go ahead and kick it, guys. We're gonna go ahead and build the following in today's build. We're gonna go ahead and build this beautiful Mapbox. Now, this is an interactive Mapbox. We can zoom in, we can zoom out, we can change the styling. We have these markers, they can be customized. So much stuff, which you can imagine what I'm gonna do now. All of this stuff is gonna be customizable for your homework and it's going to give you a nice juicy, and anyone who gets featured on the final day, 20 points. So this is your time to shine. This is where you want to stand out against the rest, make that map pop. And I'm going to show you how you can go ahead and get that done. We're going to go ahead and crush it today, okay? Dean, what's up, dude? He goes, I can't believe I got featured today. Amazing stuff, dude. Smash your thumbs up. We're almost at a couple of 100 likes. Let's keep it going, guys. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and go to our previous build. All right, so the previous build that we had up and running yesterday was this build right here. So if you haven't done this build, then make sure you do go ahead and finish off the builds. And if you haven't, and you want to go ahead and continue on, then just make sure that you go ahead and, enjoy today's build, watch along, learn something new. And then when you get some time, go back and watch them in sequence. I'm going to be adding this to a playlist for the entire challenge, so it'll be easy for you to go ahead and watch these back afterwards. So it's going to be ultimate, right? And I hope a lot of you have already fallen in love with Next.js, React, and Tailwind, because you can see how powerful it is in this build. Okay, how do we go ahead and get this thing done? So we're going to go ahead and use something called Mapbox. Now, what is Mapbox? Well, it's maps and locations for developers, right? You can go to their website, have a little scroll around. It's used by tons of different apps and companies. So you can see here, Instacart, BMW, Strava, all of these different companies. The weather company, we all know that one, where we check the weather. But you can see here, they're responsive. They work across devices. Now you can see it's not just 2D, right? Maps, you've got nice 3D maps, everything that we could possibly need. And it's very customizable, by the way. It's all included in Mapbox. So this is where, get your focus face on and get ready for this. And I agree with Dev Mental Life. He goes, Mapbox looks 100% better than Google Maps. Also, it sucks with the integration into React. Yes, I agree with you, dude, on that one. This is actually really easy to integrate as compared to Google Maps. So let's continue on. The map and the website looks sick as well. And also, boom, navigation. If you did the Uber clone, you're gonna know about navigation, but this is actually very nice. So I wonder if someone can beat me to it and build a fully formed navigation app, right? So this is gonna be sick. Let's continue on. So what I'm gonna want you to do, go ahead and sign up, right? So you need to make an account on Mapbox. It's completely free. You just have to fill in your name, your last name, your email, if you have a company, all that good stuff. You want to go ahead and chuck that in and then sign up. Now, once you've done that, you can click go to account. You'll be taken to this page, all right? So we can go ahead and actually get everything we need. Now, if you scroll down, you're going to see access tokens. And don't worry, I'm going to refresh this so you guys can't use my access token. But this is going to be very important for today. Now, what is a public token? A public token is basically so once we have an account with Mapbox, we're going to go ahead and actually use the maps over at Mapbox. But how do we tell Mapbox that we are who we logged in as? Right? How do I say I'm Sunny, the guy who just logged in 5 minutes ago, or whoever that is? Right? How do I know myself from anyone else? Well, we use something called a public key. And it's called public because we don't care if the world sees that, right? But you should always keep any kind of key in an environment file of some sort. So let's go ahead and crush this right now, okay, guys? So without further ado, we're going to have a quick water break before we get started. The mouth is getting super thirsty today. Okay. Now this one is more of an intense kind of, I'd say maybe intense. Give me an intense hour and we've got this down, right? Let's go ahead and crush this. So we've got our access token. So make sure you go ahead and hit the copy button on this one right here. I'm going to refresh this in a second. So don't even try and copy it. It's not going to work. Don't worry about it, okay? But what you want to do, guys, is you want to click on Go to Mapbox Studio, right? So you want to click on Go to Mapbox Studio. Now here, they've made it really nice as to how we can go ahead and build out our map. So in this case, what Mapbox Studio does is they give you styles. So we're going to go ahead and create a new style. So I'm going to click a new style. Now they give you these nice kind of variants. So if you want, a satellite street, go ahead and do a satellite. If you want a basic street, you can have a basic view. Monochrome is kind of nice as well. Navigation is always pretty slick, right? But streets, let's actually have a look at streets. And what should we do, guys? You guys pick for me. I'm going to let you guys decide. This is the one that I had before, which I'm pretty sure was the navigation look or was close to it. But go ahead and let me know, which one should I pick right now? Basic, monochrome, outdoor, navigation, satellite, or streets? Who knows, right? We can go ahead and pick basic, and we can even change it to galaxy. That's what I had before. Okay, so at this point, I'm actually going to go ahead and pick streets, right? I'm going to pick streets. And we're going to have this right now, but you know what? I can't do it to myself. I'm going to go ahead and do basic with Galaxy. I like the dark theme. I'm not going to lie, guys. It looks sick. Pedro says navigation, streets. Oh, okay, it's coming through. Satellite, monochrome. As soon as we get double navigation, there we go. Navigation it is. All right, so we're going to click on customize now. So once you've customized it, it says welcome to the studio. Now you can click on learn more and look around, but look what's really cool here, guys. You get all of these customizable layers, colors. So this is where I want you to customize your homework to make it look as cool as you need to make it look. Maybe you could go ahead and theme it. I'm just throwing this out there. You can go ahead and theme it so that way you have the Airbnb color template, right? So that way you have all the Airbnb styling that you would need for your map to match. That would look sick. So you can go ahead and actually change all the colors over here. So where we have, you know, motorways and trunks, we can go ahead and change that to a pink or something like that. So let's go ahead and make it like a red. Let's go ahead and do something like this. In fact, where have we got, have we actually got I used the Airbnb color yesterday. So let's go ahead and find it. And then I'm going to go ahead and actually pop that in because that would look pretty cool, right? So we've got text red font. Okay, I've got it here. Nice. So I've got the Airbnb color right here. I'm going to go ahead and grab that. I'm going to pop it in like so. Okay, now we have the Airbnb color. Now, obviously you can make yours look a little bit better, but what we want to do now is go ahead and click on share. Right. Now we've clicked on share and we've got two things which are critical to what we need to do, right? We've got the style URL and we've also got the access token. You're going to need both of these things right here in order to get this map into your application, okay? So make sure you take your time, get this one right. I want you to style out your application, and then we're going to come back here in just a second. We're going to get this style URL and get this access token. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and refresh my style, refresh my token, and then come back. So that way, you know, we don't get no annoying stuff happening in today's build. But let's go ahead and I'm going to quickly do that right now, and then I'll be right back. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually refreshing my token right now. So I have a shiny new token right now. This is looking pretty nice. So I got my, you know, there we go. Shiny new token. I've copied it. I'm now going over to my Mapbox Studio once again, and we are back. And I go to my navigation, and there you go. So I'm back at the screen, but I've got a new token. We click on share, and now I've got this. Right now, obviously you can't see it. Also, it's fine. So at this point, how do I go ahead and continue on with the build? Well, we need to pull this into our app. So what I'm actually going to do in order to get this inside of our app is I'm going to create a map component. Right, so this map component is going to be the one that resembles everything inside of our app once we get it working. So it's going to be responsible for showing the map somewhere around here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, go into my folder structure, go to my components, and I'm going to create a map.js component. Okay, underscore RFCE, which is our boilerplate to go ahead and get our component up and running. So we've now got the map up and running, and I love it because the minute I start actually going ahead and running with the build, I see people go into that focus mode, and I see that chat kind of, you know, everyone's like, you know, tensed up and they're probably coding along with me right now. So you got the map here, right? Now, where are we going to put this map? Right, so where I'm actually going to put this map is over inside of the search screen. So we're going to go to our search screen, and I'm going to probably put it down here somewhere. So I want to actually put the map underneath where we have main. So we have the footer, but right before we finish the main, you see where we had everything in sections. I'm actually going to go ahead and create a new section. Okay, and this section is going to have the map component. Now, if we scroll down, you can see we get the components one where it says auto import. So I'm going to go ahead and do that one right there. Okay, and then, oh, this song gets me hyped up. Right, so now we've got the map being rendered in, and you can see up at the top, we're pulling it in like so. So here we have the section with the map like here, like so, right? So this section, I'm going to go ahead and say class name equals, and what I actually want to do is I want to show this only on the large screens. Thank you so much, Saeed ET. First donation, massive. He says, the knowledge you're sharing is priceless. Thanks, mate. Appreciate that, dude. Thank you so much for hopping in right now and watching along. And yeah, let's crush it, guys. We've got the section class name. Now, I want this to be hidden. So if we go back to the main build, you can see on smaller screens, it's hidden. Now, what you could do is you could actually go ahead and reposition it. But I'm going to leave that in your core, right? But what I'm doing is I'm making it hidden, except when we get onto a larger screen where I get the actual enough screen real estate that we can go ahead and do it. Okay. So in this point, I'm going to go ahead and say hidden by default. Otherwise, only when we're on an extra large screen should I go ahead and inline flex it. But what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to actually go ahead and probably not import and not add this just yet. So we want to see it while I'm coding, and then I'll go ahead and add it in. Okay. Van Timmeren says, great channel. Thank you so much, dude. If you're watching and you're enjoying the content, make sure you smash the like button and hit the subscribe, because we are nearly at 70,000 subscribers, which is absolutely incredible. All right, let's keep crashing. Let's go back to our map. Now, how do I get, this nice navigation map box into my app now? Well, we're going to use a nice little helper package. Now, this helper package is called react-map-gl. Okay, so if we go over to our Safari, we're going to go ahead and pop in React Map GL. You're going to see this React Friendly API Wrapper. And what this is somebody's gone out there and actually wrapped up, they've added a bit of code which actually gives us the nice React Map GL component. And what we can do is we can pass in a couple of things here that will actually go ahead and allow us to pop in our, the things that we have. So like the map style URL, which is the one that we just created in that style editor. And we're also going to have the access token. So we can actually go ahead and pass that in like so. So if you can see down here, it says using Mapbox tokens. So I've gone ahead and done the documentation. I've done all the hard work for this. So you can now just go ahead and follow me to save yourself a bit of time. So we're going to go ahead and import this. But before we do it, we need to install it. So copy this line right here. Go back to your code, Command J to pull up your terminal. And you're going to go ahead and do npm install --save React Map GL. Okay, now while that's happening, we're going to go ahead and copy the top line over here where it says import React Map GL from React Map GL library. All right, so let's go to the top over here, paste it in, and now we have this. Okay, so what we want to do is this map, we don't actually require a div. This whole component is going to be this map, and that makes sense, right? It's called a map for a reason. We want the entire component to actually be that map. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, let's pop in that component, right? And this actually can have some children. Now, what would the children be? Eventually, it's going to be the actual, markers inside of the map. Hence why it's a child component. So let's continue on. We've got the React Map GL. So this actually takes a bunch of attributes. Now, what do we pass in here? Right, so I mentioned before, we need to pass in the style URL, but we also need to pass in the access token. Okay, so the first step is I'm going to go ahead and actually pass in the map style. And you see here, as soon as I type in map, we get a bunch of drop downs, right? So the one I'm looking for is Mapbox API URL, right? Actually, not this one, sorry, Mapbox style right now. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and type in equals, and I'm going to pop in the following right here, style URL. I'm going to copy this, I'm going to paste it. Right, so we have this is our style URL. Now, what does that mean? This is essentially going ahead and popping it. It's grabbing this Mapbox style that we've created in the Mapbox editor, and now it connects it to our component. Right, so this means that our component will know that's the style that we want. So all of these nice little colors that we've added, you should be able to go ahead and pull them through. The next thing is the Mapbox access token. So whenever we have any token or anything like that, we should always consider putting it in something called an environment file, right? So typically when you're coding in React, you can use something called a .env file. But when we're using Next.js, if it's a public key, right, we can actually do something a level up. We can use something called the Next.config.js, which we created earlier to go ahead and allow us to add pictures into our app. So what we're going to do here is we're going to add an environment variable. Now, what the hell is an environment variable? You might be new to coding. You may not have any idea. You might be coding for years and you still have no idea what an environment variable is. This is basically when you're in your development environment. So when we're coding at home in our computer, that's called the development environment or your local environment. But when you deploy your app to Versal, so it's up on the internet living somewhere, that's what we refer to as a production environment. The two environments can have different keys. So imagine for many reasons you might want this. You might have like a development, sort of a dummy server, which has a certain key. And then when you push to your production server, you have a live key, right? So this is why you might want to do this. In this case, we actually have one API, an access token, which we're going to keep the same across both, but it doesn't really matter. We're going to go ahead and set this up. We just passed 200 likes. That's awesome, guys. Keep on smashing the thumbs up button. And thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I appreciate you all. All right, let's continue on. We're going to go ahead and rather than just adding the key here, like I said, we're going to make use of the next.config.js file. So what I'm going to do, guys, is we're going to actually use this file to go ahead and include a variable. Now, this file, I repeat, this file should not be used to include any private keys. notice the Mapbox key, when we actually got it, it said a public key. That's fine, right? But whenever you're dealing with something called a private key, that should be in a secure environment file or in some kind of secure place. So for example, in Vercel, you can upload your environment variables and all that stuff. That's a different time, a different topic. But in this case, you want to go ahead and make sure it's a public key that you're putting in this file, because you're exposing it when the user loads your website. So at this point, I'm going to type in env, and then I'm going to go ahead and say mapbox underscore key. Okay. And in this case, you simply put quotes and then you put in your super secret key. Right? You guys thought I was going to write it, didn't you? Right. So at this point, I'm not going to write that key. Right. But where do you get your key? You're going to get it from here, the access token. Right. So this is your key. This is your private key, the access token right here. So what you're going to do is copy it. And then you want to go ahead and paste it in here. You guys keep thinking I'm doing it, right? But I'm not going to do it. All right. So at this point, what I'm going to do is go ahead and paste it in. But when I do it, I'm going to hide the screen. I'm going to paste it and I'm going to save the file and then close it, right? But this is what I'm doing. The environment part, Mapbox key. Okay. So pay close attention if you're following this along. So I'm going to go ahead and paste in that value right now. So I'm pasting it in and then I'm going ahead and I'm closing that file. And now what I can do is, if I go ahead and actually load up my terminal, so let's go ahead and hit save right now. So you can see we've got nothing here. If I go ahead and load up my terminal, go to my first terminal, you can see here, it says found a change in Next.config.js. Now, whenever you change a configuration file, you need to restart your server. This is because Next uses this stuff to go ahead and actually set up that server. It can't fast refresh new variables in. So at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to do Control-C inside of our terminal to cut it. Then I'm going to do npm run dev to go ahead and run it again in the developer environment, right? So here you can see it should, in a second, go ahead and grab the environment variables. It may say it, it may not. I'm not sure if it actually says it. I can't remember. But when you can use environment variables, if anyone's wondering. In this case, we're only using the ones loaded in from our configuration file. So now that we have that loaded in, what we want to do is go back to our map. And how do I get the actual key, right? Well, what we're going to use is something called process. Okay. So when we do this, you can go ahead and actually, it's actually built into React. So process is something that you can go ahead and just type in and it will go ahead and know that you're tapping into this part of React. So at this point I can say process.environment. Okay. And what this is doing is it goes into the environment variable. So again, as I mentioned, if you're in your local environment, wherever they're stored, it'll grab them. If you're in your production environment in Vercel, there is a place where you upload your keys. I'm going to show you that as well. So you're going to make sure you need to do that, right? So that's going to be super important for you guys. Nitin says, I have taken your Puppet React course. Is that enough to becoming a great React? Yes, dude, 100%. If you already are learning a bunch from, if you're learning a bunch from the YouTube videos, then hell yeah, be inside Zero to Full Stack Hero. You're going to learn a bunch. Okay. Now, what I would say is make sure you turn up on day 5. I have a nice treat for you all. So that's going to be sick for all of you who are interested. So process.env. And then here we're going to see you get a bunch of information out of the box already. But what I'm actually going to use is something called my Mapbox key. So remember we gave it a key value before. It said env and then we said Mapbox key. So that's how it knows. Okay. We hit save. Right? And we don't get an error at this point. So if I hit refresh, everything seems fine at this point. Okay. If I make it full screen, everything's fine. There's no errors that we're seeing. So at this point, it's okay. Okay. So now what we do is we have to pass in something called a viewport. Right? A viewport is very important because it tells this map how it decides itself. Okay. So at this point, what we need to do is go ahead and type in viewport. But before we do, we need to pass it in a value. So I'm actually going to go ahead and create this variable beforehand. So we say const viewport. Okay. If you're wondering how the hell does he know this, right? Again, I've gone through the documentation extensively to figure this one out. You can see they actually have a viewport right here. That's part of some state. You can do the same thing. We're going to do the exact same thing here. We're going to have a viewport in our state, set viewport, which is the same standard we learned yesterday. We actually learned how to do that yesterday, right? And then we went ahead and we're going to set it up with a latitude and a longitude, right? And then a zoom value. Now, in our case, if we just set it as a hard-coded value, that map is going to point in a random location or only that hard-coded value. So I'm also going to teach you today how you can take all of the search results that you're seeing on your page, find the actual center of all of those results, and then use that as a value. So that's going to be super cool. And you're going to use a library called geolib in order to do that. So you guys are going to find out how to do this. Dev Mentor says, Sunny, when you guys are grading homework, you only look at the browser view. You don't grade the cleanliness of the code. So in this case, when we have a huge challenge, it all comes down to sort of, we would have to go, on a basis of the browser view, and we quickly, go ahead and check the responsiveness. In terms of the code, inside Zero to Full Stack Hero, we do code reviews. So obviously, when we have hundreds of people, it's a lot harder to do a code review on 100 people. So that's the reason why. So at this point, but I would love to actually check that. So very good point. If I had enough time, I definitely would. All right, so we're going to go ahead and create a piece of state called viewport. And the standard is set viewport. And then we go ahead and say equals use state. And we're going to have to import this from React like so. And here, as a default value, we're going to pass in an object. All right, so at this point, we pass in an object. Now, what we're going to say is the width and height of our map should be 100%. Right, because we want to use up 100% of the container that it's inside of, right? And then we're going to say the height should also be 100%, okay? So this means that whatever container we put inside of, it's going to go ahead and maximize it. Now, to get things started, I'm just going to put in a dummy latitude and longitude and a zoom value from the example, okay? And then we're going to go ahead and do that centering logic that I said before, right? So let's go ahead and chuck this in. Abhishek says, Sunny dude, I got my first 6-figure job landing React from you. Amazing stuff, dude. Congratulations. Andre says, I plan to learn the basics of React before jumping too deep into React. However, watching Sunny has made me excited about React. I want to know the basics to better understand React. Definitely check out the React Basics 101 if you guys haven't. That's in the description below. It's a free 1 month and you're going to get full access to a 3-hour course that I've released there, which I break down React in the simplest terms. It's a 3-hour segment of videos, which are all 10 minutes each. That's going to help you out a ton. Okay. So I'm going to pop in the latitude, longitude values like so. And in this case, we're going to go ahead and say it's a zoom of 11. You can mess around with that value if you want to play with it. Okay. At this point, what we're going to do is we're going to say, right, we're going to actually pass in this viewport. Now, what I'm going to do is, in order to go ahead and pass in all of these values, so what I want to do is I actually want to pass in these values here as if I was saying width is 100%, latitude is this, longitude is that. The way you can do it in a very nice way is you can actually say, we can put in our JSX bracket and we can do spread viewport. Now, what this is doing is it takes this object and it kind of like bursts it open, right? So that way you have basically done this, right? Where we go ahead and pop it in. Obviously we got to say equals, otherwise it doesn't work. But that's essentially what we're doing when we do a spread operator, right? We open it up from the, we open it up like so, and then it goes ahead and works. So let's continue on. So we go ahead and spread out the viewport stuff. And now we're going to go ahead and hit save. Now let's see what happened, guys. So at this point, we still can't see a map, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and check out where we render this map. Okay, so we're going to go to our search right here. And you can see we do actually put out the map. But at this point, we don't have anything inside of our section. So what I'm going to do is go to my that class name. And I'm going to add the following. I'm going to say, by default, this is going to be a inline flex element. Okay, so we hit save. And then let's go ahead and check it out. Still not seeing anything. Okay, interesting. And what we're going to say is on the, we're actually going to make this responsive from the get-go. I'm going to say it's hidden by default. On the extra large screen, I want to make it an inline flex element. And then I want to make the minimum width, right, on the extra large screen. So the minimum width that this is possibly allowed to be is going to be 600 pixels. Okay. Now, once I add that in, if I go back to my full screen, you can see that it gives a min width. So if I go ahead and actually get rid of all of this, you'll see that it gets applied anyway. But that looks too squashed up, right? That's why we go ahead and only apply it. You can put it on maybe that screen size if you don't mind it, but I would recommend that you go ahead and, you do it in the way that I said it. So it's on the extra large screen, but already you guys can see that that is looking great, right? It's actually pulled through, looks awesome so far. And you can see we've got the little map looking really nice, okay? So at this point, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and the reason being is that I can't move. Why can't I, you said this was a fully responsive map, but right now I can't actually move through it. I'm clicking it, I'm grabbing it, I can't do anything. That's because we need to go ahead and set it up in the correct way. So firstly, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go ahead and add in that it's hidden by default on a mobile view. It only comes in as an inline flex element when we hit the XL breakpoint, and then it has to be a minimum width of 600 in order to show on the screen. So at this point, looks pretty nice. Okay, this is looking very, very nice. Mohib says that is so sick. That is wicked, man. Right, so it looks very good. But what we need to do now is add a special function in, which is actually called on viewport change, right? So when I scroll up right now, what's actually happening is, if we go back to our map, Command J to hide the terminal, the latitude and longitude are constantly set, which means that even if I scroll around, it's just not going to work, right? Aven7US says, on small screens, I'd probably put it on the bottom under all the cards. Exactly. That's an awesome suggestion, dude. And I've left this up to you guys in terms of what's it called? You know, you guys can extend the homework and do it as you feel. I gave you a suggestion. Take it as far as you want. Feel free to, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and actually say here, on viewport change. So on viewport change. So you see we get two different ones. I'm going to do on viewport change. This gives me, so every time we move through it, it actually gives us, so it's actually an arrow function here, which has a bunch of stuff. And then this actually gives me each time the next viewport. So imagine as you're scrolling, every time you kind of scroll, it fires off an event, and that event is contained inside of something called next viewport. We use that event to go ahead and update the UI. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and say set the viewport, right, to the next viewport. And this means that these values will get changed, hopefully, as I go ahead and scroll through. So if I go ahead and hit save now, and I go ahead and refresh, now, aha, now I can move. Nice. And I can even zoom in, I can zoom out. All right, whoa, we're going really far then. Right, but we can even zoom out, and look, we can go down to, let's go over to the UK, and you guys can scroll in and go wherever you guys want to go to, right? So already we have these gorgeous looking maps available. But if I refresh, once again, it's going to take me to that hard-coded default value, which was in fact this one right here. So what we want to do, right, is actually go ahead and actually, you know, like I said before, we've got a bunch of search results that came back. So this is actually these search results over here. Right, each one came back with a latitude and longitude, right? If you didn't remember that, I'll prove it to you guys. I'll show you. We go to search, we go to our get server-side props where we did the server-side render. I can click on this link to go ahead and make a get request to the endpoint, and you can see this is the objects that got returned back. So this is an array of objects, right? And if I go ahead and show you guys in a bigger view, now you can see that we've got an array of objects. Inside of it, we had a longitude and latitude of each location. This is how we're going to achieve the markers, which go ahead and actually get pinpointed on the screen. But before we do that, I need to position the map and zoom it in to a point where it will literally contain all the marker elements. The way that we do that is we use a special library called geolib. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and use a library called geolib. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go back to my map. And then I'm going to go ahead and install a library that we're going to need. So this library is actually called geolib, right? And you can see it's an npm package. And you can see here you've got zero dependency library, blah, blah, blah. In this case, you're looking for the one with a high number of stars. That's always kind of, you know, your sanity check to make sure it's a decent library. So we're going to go ahead and install this right now. So I'm going to go ahead and say npm install, right? npm install geolib. And this is going to go ahead and pop in the dependency right now. Let's go ahead and have a quick water break, guys. Smash the thumbs up button if you're enjoying this and if you've learned something new already, right? Tino says, Sonny, what's the best way for us to edit the JSON? Should we just copy the data and make our own links? You can if you want to. What I would recommend is at this point, I've just gone ahead and hosted some dummy data. But again, you can go ahead and find an endpoint, create your own endpoint and actually change the information. I would recommend building, you know, an Express backend or even like a Next.js backend, which you can do, which is built in, and serve the information from there instead. That would be my approach. That way you get kind of a full rounded experience developing it. But we went ahead and installed geolib. And now what we're going to do is we're only going to need a portion of it. So in this case, you see it's got a bunch of different, very handy libraries. I need something called get center. So they have actually quite extensive documentation here, right? What I'm looking for here is actually something called get center. Now, here's the one I'm looking for. Get center, you provide a bunch of coordinates, okay? And in this case, you can see the coordinates are of a certain shape. Now, pay attention here, okay? Now, this is where we're going to learn about transformation. So if we have an object of a certain shape, in example, what I can do is if I show you guys the object that we actually just got back from JSON, the JSON file that we load up, this has a bunch of additional information inside of it. Okay, but the library requires that the object only have longitude and latitude, and even then the keys were actually longitude and latitude. They weren't long and lat for short. So what we have to do is we have to take this object and transform it into this object, right, with different keys, but it has to have the exact same values, but we have to strip it apart and make it. And plus, not only that, we're dealing with a list. So how the hell is he going to figure that one out, right? I'm going to show you guys how to do a transformation of an array of objects. So that way we can, pass in an array of objects which looks like it one way, and then we can go ahead and change it around and shape it away to the way that we need it. So it's going to be pretty cool actually, right? So let's go ahead and do this right now. So, and Prashun's right. If you're gonna go ahead and know how to, create an API with Next.js, go ahead and check out the Amazon clone that I built. Right, so I've got you covered on all fronts, guys. So what we're gonna do actually first is go ahead and import get center from our library. Command J to hide the terminal, pop it in like so, get center. Okay, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and actually calculate the coordinates. Now we do actually get all of how can I get these this object into my map component? Firstly, right, I go to my search, and remember yesterday the page did something called server-side rendering. So whenever the user goes to the search page, it fetches all this information from that middle server which we introduced when we use Next.js, and then it renders out the page to the client or the browser, right? What we're going to do is we're going to take that information, so those search results, the ones that we see loaded on the screen, and we're simply going to pass them through. So these search results right here, which came through as a prop, we're going to pass these through down into the map. Okay, I'm going to say map search results equals search results. So I'm actually passing them through. Now, you can argue in many ways here. You can actually, I would say, because you're only passing down one level of props, completely fine to do that. The minute you find yourself passing down 2 levels, 3 levels, 4 levels, you're doing something called prop drilling. Do not do prop drilling, okay? It's a bad practice. When you start finding that starts to happen, you need to start looking at the approach which is called the state management. So that's when you introduce something like Redux or something like Recoil or, the context API. That's when that comes in clutch, but we're not going to be doing that today. So in this case, search results over here. So I'm going to go ahead and click this over here. Okay, so map, nice, right? And then what we do is we get the props through here. So we can destructure the props to get the search results. Okay, so these search results right here, we can go ahead and, this will include all the information, but it will look like this again, right? So what I need to do is, oops, I've actually loaded up a picture. What we need to do is actually transform the search results, right, object into the object that we require, which is this, right? I'm going to say into the latitude longitude object. So that I'm just putting it there for reference. Okay, so we're going to transform it into an object which looks something like this. Oh, we just got a donation. Who was that? We have I can't pronounce the name, but he says he's the best teacher for baby React coders and me. Thank you, dude. I'm not going to guess it, but thank you so much, dude. Appreciate that so much. That's huge, right? Let's continue on. At this point, we're going to go ahead and, we're going to transform this into an object which looks something like this. So I'm going to take this and map it and transform and map it into an object. So what I can do here is I can go ahead and get the coordinates, right? So I'm going to create a variable called the coordinates. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the search results, okay? And I'm going to do something called a map. Right? Now, this is the part where I need you to pay attention. Right? This is a learning point here. I need you to pay attention. So a map can go ahead and loop through a list of objects or whatever is inside of an array, right? You can map through it. Now, every time it maps through, I can get a reference to the item that we're currently on. So we can name it whatever we want. We can call it the result in this case, right? So at this point, I'm going to say map through, and every single time I have a result, I need to do something with it. Okay, so at this point, and this is where loads of people make the same mistake, we're going to do something called a direct return, right? So we're going to go ahead and do parentheses, and then I'm going to put the curly brackets. So pay attention to what that looks like right now, and I'm going to hit enter. So what this is doing is it's going to return an object every time it loops through. Okay, so what's happening is we get the entire result every time we loop through. So I'll have access to this object in the result variable now. And what I'm doing is I'm actually returning a different object. So what I'm going to return is an object which has a longitude where it's the result dot long, right? And this is because it's result dot long here. And then the latitude is going to be result dot lat. Okay. And what this does, guys, this one amazing piece of code actually goes ahead, maps through it, gets the result object, and instead of returning the result object, in this case, if I simply return the result, I would get the same object back. What I'm doing is I'm changing it. So I'm returning an object where the key is longitude, one of the keys is longitude, and this is the value. One of the keys is latitude, and this is result.lat, right? So this will actually go ahead and return now an object with all of these values. And you're probably thinking, nah, that's rubbish, man. You're not doing that. So I'm going to go ahead and prove it to you. I'm going to console log the coordinates right now, and we should see all of this information in this format that we needed it in. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and check it right now. I'm going to go ahead, open this up, and I'm going to go ahead and inspect the element so I can open up the console right now. And you can see Tino says this clarifies so much. I appreciate that, dude. I hope it did help you out. We click the array and boom, you see that. That is what we use a map for. Now you're probably wondering, you could have used something like a for each. No, the reason why a map is different to a for each is because a for each cannot return a value, whereas a map can return a value, right? So when you loop through something, what's actually happening is we're going ahead and returning a value each time, and it bubbles it up into this array that we get returned in the end result, right? Now there's loads of very helpful functions that you can use. In this case, a map is perfect, right? There's so many useful functions like ES6 functions like reduce, filters, and so forth. In this case, you do not need to use any of those things. So Philip says, would not a reduce not be better? A reduce is more when you want to accumulate some values up. Like for example, if you have, a bunch of numbers in each item that you want to, kind of condense down or reduce into one number, that's when you want to use a reduce. In this case, a map does the trick. So now we have our data prepared in this structure, okay? So this means we have an array of objects that looks exactly like, so that means I can use the geolib library, okay? So what I'm going to do now is, Pranav says, good explanation. Thank you so much, dude. Appreciate that. So at this point, what we're going to do is we've got our coordinates. So we've already done the transform step, and then we've got it in this nice little coordinates object. So now I'm going to go ahead and say const center. Now, what the hell is the center point, right? This is actually going to be the longitude and latitude of the center of the locations or the results, right? So all these results that come through, we go ahead and transform it into values which has longitude and latitude. And then what I want to do is on a map, I want to show, imagine if I've got loads of points around London, right? I want to just have that map centered around those points, right? So it's only going to be centered around those points. So imagine the search results change and suddenly we're in the States or in Mexico or somewhere else. It's going to go ahead and show you, a center around those points. So you'll be looking at Mexico, you'll be looking at the States, wherever the points are at. Okay, let's continue on. So Dev Mentor for Life says map filter, every sum, reduce are your best. Yes, they are honestly your best friends. Learn them inside out. We do teach it inside Zero to Full Stack Hero. So yeah, very much worth learning it. Okay, so const center equals, and I'm going to say get center. And this is the function that we actually pulled from geolib. And you can see in their example, they're doing geolib.getCenter. I'm actually pulling it from the library, so I can just say get center directly. So at this point, I can pass in my coordinates. Okay, this is looking pretty good now. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to console log center and see what's actually inside that. All right. So at this point, we should have an object which returns something like this, an object with latitude, longitude, and it should just have one value for each. Okay. Let's go ahead and do this. Quentin says, love your builds and you're a brilliant developer. I've learned so much from you. Thank you so much, Quentin. I really appreciate you tuning in. That means everything. It makes my day whenever someone says that. So I really do appreciate that. Let's go ahead and click on inspect element. And now let's go ahead and go to our console. You see the object down here. Look at that. We get one value, and that represents the central longitude and latitude between all of these search results. So all of these are based in London, right? And this is going to be a central point, which is going to actually perfectly map the center of all of them search results. Okay. So at this point, what we're going to do is, William says, I'm smiling because before I used to be confused when I see code like this, but Sonny, you make it so easy for me. Thanks for a million. William's a part of the Papa fam. Dude, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you for tuning in every time. George says, we're back, baby. Exactly, dude. So at this point, we've got a nice little center, right? So what we're going to do now is pass the center in as, okay, let's think about this. The viewport, latitude and longitude that we start at. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to declare this underneath over here. So we actually have the center variable available. So our center latitude is going to be center dot latitude. And over here, the longitude is going to be center dot longitude. Okay, nice, right? So what we should see now, if I hit save, if I refresh, we should be able to see that this map will no longer be in some random place in the States. It should be in the US. Oh, nice. Jay London, what's up? I went to uni and he was actually a student on my course as well. What's up, dude? Thank you so much for the £10 donation. Appreciate you, man. That's huge. And I hope you're doing well, right? That's awesome to see, you know, old friends coming in. Clutch. Thank you so much, dude. So we've got the center. So if I go ahead and hit save now, and I go ahead and go to a full screen, wait for it. Okay, we are now in London. That is the M25 that surrounds London. Okay, so if I go ahead and zoom out now, you're going to see, look, the city of London. All right, so wherever we got zoomed into, that is the exact center point of all of these longitude and latitudes. Okay, so the next ideal step is we need to see the markers for where each, you know, search result is. Otherwise, it's kind of meaningless, right? If we don't know what's going on there, or we don't know where it's actually on the map, it's not much use to see that that's the center point, right? Like, where the hell can I actually see? Imagine I want to stay over in Edmonton. How do I know where the actual sort of Airbnb is, right? I need to see it. So that way I can do it, right? So what we're going to now build is we're going to upgrade this so that it can do the following. So that way we can actually have the different locations popping up like this. And we can actually go ahead and click it. So we can see this one is spacious, peaceful, modern room. This is the 5-star luxury apartment. So in that case, it would have been this one, right? So we're going to go ahead and actually show you how to do that right now. So what I'm going to do is, you know, go ahead and hide this again. And we're going to use something called markers, right? So I'm going to go ahead and actually save us a bit of time. And I'm going to import 2 additional things. I'm going to import the marker, and I'm also going to import the pop-up. So the marker is actually going to be responsible for, you guessed it, it's going to be that marker, that pin, right? That's a pin, that's called a marker. And the pop-up is this thing that kind of pops up around it, right? You can style that pop-up as well, right? So don't worry, you're not stuck with that, right? So I see loads of you, I see this, a few people spamming chat. Don't spam it, guys. You know, keep it clean, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and continue on. So inside of the React map GL, right? So which is our React map that we're rendering on the screen. I'm now going to go ahead and actually have markers. So instead of rendering one marker, okay, what I can do instead, Andre says, not loving that pop-up styling. Eesh, that's why I've left it for homework, all right? It wasn't laziness, I promise you. I'm going to show you how easy it is to actually style it. But I want you guys to go ahead and customize it, right? So that way you guys can do what you want to do with it. Abdullah Sheikh, what's up, man? I actually used to teach him as well. What's up, dude? Good to see you. So at this point, if it's the same one I'm thinking, right? So at this point, we're going to go ahead and say search results. So I'm going to go ahead and run through the search results. And for every search result, I'm going to, you know, put a marker on the screen. So search results.map. Right? And we're going to map because we need to return a JSX value, which is then shown on the screen. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to say return. For every single result, I'm doing parentheses, not curly braces. Loads of you make this mistake, and it's normal. I've done it 1,000 times. Trust me. Don't worry about it. Jerome, what's up, dude? So at this point, you want to make sure you return something. Otherwise, you're not going to see anything on the screen. I've done it before, and I was like, why am I not seeing anything, you know? So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and have a div. And inside my div, I'm going to have a marker, okay? And the reason why I'm doing that, by the way, is because this div, you can't actually pass a marker key here. Oh, you can here. So I don't know why I was freaking out before. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and put in a div, and then you guys can, we'll refactor if we need to, okay? So the key for the div that we're mapping through is going to be result.long. So we're going to use the actual longitude as a key because it's most likely, you know, that's actually a pretty good key to use. Because it's not likely at all unless that hotel is in the exact same location. It is the same student I used to teach, right? Unless it's the exact same longitude or latitude, then you know you're in a bit of a situation. That means 2 Airbnbs are stacked up on top of each other. That's impressive, but we're going to carry on. So we've got the search results here. So we're going to actually pop out this marker. Now the marker, as you can imagine, takes a few things. It takes a longitude, and it takes a latitude. So these require values. So in this case, you can destructure. Remember, you can definitely destructure, right? So you can actually get them out through here. So you can go ahead and destructure longitude, latitude, and all that stuff there. But I'm going to go ahead and keep it on the screen because I think it might be simpler if you're tuning in later or something like that and you want to just go ahead and see it. What is he actually looping through, right? So that might help you guys out. So in this case, we're going to do the result.long goes here, and the latitude is result.lat. Okay? And then we're going to say the offset. Now, offset allows us to go ahead and have, because I have a pin, I actually want to kind of, offset it slightly. So that way the pin dot is actually dropping on the exact location, right? So what I'm doing is I'm offsetting it slightly on the left and slightly on the top. So that way that pin actually drops perfectly on the dot, right? So let's continue on. And you guys should see that we still don't have anything on the screen yet, right? That's because we don't actually have anything inside of that marker. So the goal here now is to go ahead and, put a custom marker. Now I'm going to actually put an anchor tag here. I'm going to show you a few things that you can do. If I go ahead and simply put a P tag and I put something like, I'm just going to pop in an emoji of a marker here, right? So I'm going to simply pop it in like so, right? Now let's see if that did anything. Right? I'm going to see if that did anything. So, we can actually see something was there, right? Okay, so we see it there, right? See that? We've actually got those P tags popped up. So already this is better. So we have something working, right? But I can't click it. That's not a clickable element. So when you have a situation like this, you can handle this in a bunch of different ways, right? You can actually have either an anchor tag, or you can have a P tag, or you can do it, there's so many ways you can do this. I'm going to firstly try and do it with a P tag. Okay. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and say P. And I'm going to say the class name of this P tag is going to be cursor pointer. So that way it can actually be it looks like a clickable element. All right. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. So it's text 2XL. And then I'm going to say it's okay. And this is the cool part, right? If you want to make that thing bounce, right? So where's it gone? If you want to make that thing bounce, you see now we've got the cursor pointer, which is a lot nicer. If you want to make it bounce, you can simply go ahead and use Tailwind CSS. And it's got a lovely property called animate bounce. And now if we go ahead and check this out, we should see a lovely bouncing animation. There you go. That looks slick. Right? So now we can see, look, very nice. Right? So what we're going to do here is when we click these links, I love this. Babatunde says, stay woke, guys. We need challenges for Dash and Tino. Yeah, Dash and Tino are racing towards the front together. But you guys are actually killing it. So here you can see it's bouncing up and down. Right? It's bouncing up and down. And you want to go ahead and actually make this clickable now to a degree. And we just passed 300 likes. Awesome stuff, guys, for day 4 of a challenge. That is huge. So keep smashing the thumbs up if you're enjoying this. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're so close to 70,000 subs. Right? If we get it on this stream, oh my God, I'll make some noise. All right. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and make this a clickable element. Right? So what I'm going to do is, how can I actually keep track of it so I could do something like that? Right? How do we get that to work? Well, what we need to do is we need to keep some state. And this is where we need to go ahead and keep track. So in this state, I'm going to go ahead and actually, set the selected location every time I click this. Now, how do we do that? Well, when we loop through something, we actually have access to the result object. So what I can say here is, firstly, I'm going to create a piece of state, right? And the piece of state is going to be responsible for the selected location. So I'm going to say const selected location. And this is the standard syntax is set selected location. Remember, it's always set the variable name. We say equals use state. And in this point, we're going to go ahead and pop in for the initial value. We're going to go ahead and give it an empty object. Okay, so it's an empty object to begin with, right? You can give it no, you can give it whatever you want. In this point, yes, Shredder says we can also use image for the marker pins. Yeah, you can put whatever you want in that marker pin, by the way, right? So at this point, the selected location is, there's no object there, right? Nothing actually shows on the screen. So what I can do now is I can actually go ahead and say, when I click that P tag, right? So when I say on click of the P tag, I can actually go ahead and do the following. I can say that this is going to go ahead, and this is going to be a little arrow function inside of it. And I'm going to set the selected location, and I'm going to set it to the actual result object. Right? So what is actually happening now is when I go ahead and click on any of these pins inside the state, I'm actually setting it as the object, right? So I'm going to show you this in action, right? But the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to go ahead and actually console log our selected, go ahead and say console log selected location. right? And you guys will see this in action right now. If I go ahead and inspect and I open up my terminal, every time I click on that map, so hopefully we should be able to get it to a degree where I can see it as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and try and get it to a point where I can see this as well. Can we shrink it anymore? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and actually shrink this. There we go, right? So now you can see, look, okay, this is getting kind of, huge right now. But if I go ahead and click on this is because I'm constantly re-rendering things. But if I click it, right now, the latest thing was private room in center of London. If I click this one, it changed to a spacious, peaceful, modern bedroom. And if I click this one, it changes it to 30 minutes to Oxford Street. So it's working, okay? So at this point, we typically don't like having console logs in our rendering. So it gets a bit messy. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and say the following. So now we set it as this. So now I can conditionally render. So this is what we're going to do. We click one of those pins and we save whatever result we click. This means that we know what the selected location is and we have a bunch of information about it. We have the longitude, the latitude, the title, the description, so forth. So now I can conditionally render a pop-up which will check if we have a value, then go ahead and show a pop-up and use those values to populate it. Pretty cool, right? That's what we're going to do. Sikandar Shishti says, hello, Sunny from Germany. What's up, dude? Good to see you. There's a few things you can actually add on to that, right? So when you're coding, there are actually a bunch of other things. For accessibility, if you have a pin, you can go ahead and say ARIA label. And this is for like screen readers and all that other stuff. You can go ahead and say that this is a push pin. And then if you have a screen reader, it'll say there is a push pin here and so forth like that. Just a little thing to know. And if you have if we're representing a p tag as an image, you can go ahead and say that this p tag has a row of image as well. So a little few things that you can do for more accessible things. What I would say, if you're interested in that, look into something called headless UI. Tailwind actually does it really nicely, okay? So at this point, we go outside of the search results, okay? Now what I'm going to do is actually, we're going to stay inside our search results, sorry. We're going to stay inside the search results. But inside or outside the marker now, I'm now going to say, okay, this is the pop-up that should show if we click on a marker. Oops, if we click on a marker, okay? So if we click on a marker, we should show a pop-up, right? Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, okay, the selected location, right? Select if the selected location longitude, right, equals the result, right? So imagine what's happening now. We're mapping through the results. If the selected location matches the result, so whatever we're mapping through, that longitude, right? So if it matches, then I want to go ahead and render. So we can say then, this is a ternary operator. We can go ahead and say, then I want to render something, right? If we don't, so you can use an and, right? But I found that this complained about something. In some situations it complains. So that would mean that, we just put something here and it'll render if that condition is true. In some cases, you might have to do render this if true, otherwise render false. Okay, so there are times where you may want to do that, right? We can render false otherwise. Okay, now at this point, I'm going to say, okay, let's just quickly do something in the sense of like, let's have a pop-up here, right? So we're going to have a pop-up, and this pop-up is simply going to have the result.title, which is going to be responsible for this, stay at the Edwardian house and so forth. Now, this pop-up can have a few other things, and I'm going to, and then to make it very simple just to begin with, I'm going to say close on click, yes. So close on click, true. But whenever they click it as well, I also want to reset my state. Okay. So I'm going to say on close equals, I'm going to go ahead and have arrow function, say set selected location. I'm going to change it back to an empty object. Okay. And the latitude and longitude of the pop-up that should show on the screen is going to be the one of the result. Okay, so we're going to say result, or you can use selected location, it's up to you. To be honest, they're going to match, so it'll be the same thing. So in this case, we can say result.lat, and we can say longitude is going to be, longitude, maybe I'm pronouncing it longitude, result.long. Okay, hit save. And now let's go ahead and check out what happens. If I go to a full screen and I go ahead and zoom out, oh, look at that, right? And if I click close, boom, it goes ahead and gets rid of it. And if I go down here, nice, look at that, already working, right? And this is a basic pop-up. Right, think about it. That pop-up is simply going ahead and rendering on the screen because it just has the latitude and longitude that we specified, and then we use the title to go ahead and render that. What you could then go ahead and do is simply pop in a div at this point, customize it, make it look pretty slick, make it look cool, have some, Flexbox stuff happening, and it will work as much as you need to work, right? So that's going to look awesome when you do that. Yeah, guys, that's awesome. Someone's asking me to do Visa, PayPal, YouTube, MasterCard, all that other stuff. I'll try my best, dude. I'm going to try my best. Rudy Duran says, wow, man. So that is honestly the map functionality. We have the pin functionality and we have the pop-up functionality all working. And what is the time right now? In 1 hour. In 1 hour and 15 minutes, we managed to get the map, the markers, and a nice little beautiful pop-up and a custom styled map using Mapbox. That's crazy, right? That is crazy, and it works perfectly in the way we expect it. So the next step now is to go ahead and deploy this bad boy, right? So we're gonna go ahead and put this on the internet so that way it works. And again, remember, once we go ahead and deploy this, now we have something called an environment variable. So I need to account for that when I go ahead and deploy it to Vercel, okay? So I need to actually tell my Vercel environment what that environment variable is, so that way it knows where to find it when we deploy. Remember, this is local. When we push to our deployment, right, it's gonna be a different environment. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and change that one as well. So let's continue on. But before we do, smash the thumbs up button and get this to 400 plus likes. And let me know if you're enjoying this right now. Nice, let's continue on. So at this point, Gibran says, the best of the best stream. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much, dude. Massively appreciate you for tuning in. And guys, if you haven't already, remember, this is day 4. We actually have a day break. So tomorrow is going to be a rest day. And then we have a huge training on day 5. You have to go ahead and reserve a place. The first link in the description to be there. We announce the winners. We have a massive training. I give away a £50 free ebook. You give another bonus for everyone who comes. And on top of that, I've got another massive surprise for everyone as well. So yeah, I've got a lot of stuff coming. This is not going to go ahead and, disappoint you. Let's continue on, right? Aditya says, British guy, thank you so much. All right, so at this point, we're going to go ahead and deploy this thing to get this up and going, right? So where's my music at? Let me go ahead and do it. Let's do this one. Yeah, I like this one. Andre says, I woke up deploying good vibes. That's it, dude. So let's go ahead and actually deploy this app. So I'm going to go ahead and do Command J. Go to my, there we go, we've got it here. I'm going to go ahead and say git add all, right? And now I'm going to go ahead and say git status. Nice. And I'm going to go ahead and say git commit -m. And then we're going to go ahead and say day 4 build, right? And then we're going to go ahead and hit enter on this thing. And now I'm going to say git push. Now, before I do that, I'm going to show you guys. So if you go over to your Vercel area, so where's mine? Over here, right? This is the Vercel deployment. So yesterday we had, where was it gone? Day 2 build, right? So I don't think I pushed. Yeah, day 3. I get so confused. It was actually, all right. So I mixed it up, right? This is actually day 4 build, but it's fine. So I'm going to go ahead and push, git push. And this will go ahead and push it to my GitHub repo, which will then go ahead and trigger a deployment. Okay. So let's continue on. So let's go ahead and go to the overview here and wait for it. Go and go to my builds. And we've got here just now day 4 build. This is the one that I just went ahead and pushed. You can see it went ahead and picked up that build. We're going to go ahead and deploy it. And there you go. It started to build it. Nice. Right. And now I think we've actually committed the next config file, which is okay because it's a public key. But if you did want to go ahead and add an additional environment variable, here is where you would do it. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys actually, so that way you can do it if you want to. You're going to click on environment variables. For some reason, mine's not actually clicking, so that's a bit annoying. There we go. So it's loading right now. Give it a second. Maybe Safari doesn't play well with Vercel. Oof, it's starting a fight right here. Right. So at this point, it's loading. Anyway, let it deploy and we'll see what happens. All right. But what you would do is you would click in environment variables. You would have a key, and you would then put the Mapbox key value there, as in the actual. You're literally going to put Mapbox key, and then as a value, you're going to pop in the one that you got as a access token from Mapbox. Okay. And then what that's going to do, guys, is trigger a build. So you're going to see this ready. Then you're going to go ahead and click into this to see what's going on here, and go down here, and everything looks good. It says deploying build outputs. Nice. Okay, wait for this. Build completed, populating build cache. All the sort of, you know, complicated sounding stuff that no one understands, but it's happening here. Let's go ahead and let it do its thing. And I'm going to go ahead and actually go into my YouTube build while that's happening. And I'm going to go to settings. And I'm going to go to my environment. Let's see if it loads now. I don't know why that's not loading right now. If it doesn't, I could load up my Chrome, but I don't want to risk loading Chrome right now. Okay, but I'm going to explain it to you guys. Simply go there, environment variables, change your key to Mapbox, key, and then you have the value. You just paste it in there, and then literally you hit OK. You trigger a redeployment by going into deployments, hitting this 3 button here, and you say redeploy once you change the variables, and it will literally do its thing. Okay, I'm going to show you. Nice. Now let's go ahead and check it out. See if it worked. If it didn't, I'm going to go ahead and change it. Right. Let's go ahead and say London 9th to 20th. Go ahead and do this. Hit search, and let's see if that key came through. And boom! The key is there, guys. It's because it's the complete height. That's why we had to zoom down. Look at that, guys. Absolutely amazing stuff. We have it working. We have a nice, beautiful map happening right here. Our jumping animations right now provided by, you know, that Tailwind CSS power. That is sick. That is absolutely crazy. With that said, this is the actual finale for the Airbnb build, right? That's actually going to wrap up the build itself. So I'm going to give a quick run through of the entire build. We built an entire front end page, right? So we had the front page, and you guys took it to above and beyond levels, right? And you actually crushed it with that. Then we had, you know, we learned about state. So we learned about props in day one when we had all of this stuff happening. We had reusable components where we pass through props and all that good stuff. And then here we go ahead and, you know, we start typing in. We learned about state. We can go ahead and pop in some values. We then learned about server-side rendering. So not only did we do static site already on this one, we'd had some, you know, server-side rendering before. Now we click search. Server-side renders the results, loads it up inside of Mapbox at the same time, pops it onto the screen, and boom, it works the way we need it to work. And it looks perfect, right? That looks absolutely amazing, and it's doing it exactly as we need it to, guys. Absolutely incredible stuff, right? Looks incredible. Why deploying? Do we keep the same code, next process.app? Yes, you keep Mapbox_key, the exact same keyword, and then it will work, right? So you need to go ahead and add that in to Vercel if you're using. I think when you're using next config variables, they're public, like I said. So we actually push that ahead, and it's using the next config. But if you want to go ahead and use a private key, you would set it in Vercel in that environment variables section that I mentioned. And that's how you would go ahead and pick it up. That's sick. Gaurav says, can we host them on Hostinger? Yes, use code Sunny if you want to. Definitely do it. Use code Sunny, and you're going to get me, you know, a nice little affiliate bonus there. So go ahead and help me out with the channel if you're going to get a custom domain. If you are going to do that, you simply go here, you go to settings, you go to the domains tab, and you literally add in a domain. You buy a domain from Hostinger using code Sunny to get a discount, and then you can go ahead and, yeah, pop it through here. And that's it, guys. It would work just like that. Right? For some reason that doesn't load up, but yeah, that would work just like that. So with that said, guys, that is your homework for today. Now, before we continue anywhere, right, and I show you how to submit your homework or anything like that, I want you guys to go ahead and do the following for me. Number one, I want you all right now to go over to the Crowdcast registration page, which is the first link in the description, and I want you to sign up to the event on Sunday, which is in 2 days' time. So tomorrow we have a day break, and then we have an absolutely massive training that is over at this point, right? So you guys go over there right now. I see loads of you. We have over 1,000 people signed up to this event already. So be there. It's going to be sick. I can see, look, we see Tom, Azedine, Sachin, Lucas, Virat, Ali, Kudu, Friketti. This is sick, right? There's so much energy over there. It's going to be an absolute huge challenge. I'm going to go ahead and teach a ton of things on that day. Right, I'm going to break down loads of stuff. I'm going to give you a £50 free ebook if you turn up, right? On top of that, I'm going to give you another bonus prize. This is for everyone, by the way. And then on top of that, I'm going to be doing something huge on this channel, which I haven't done before. So be there to see what that is, right? And this is going to be exclusive, and my main goal here is to go ahead and provide as much value. So if you've enjoyed day 1 through to 4, then you're going to love day 5. It's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. Be there. You might even have a chance to speak to me. You never know, right? I'm going to go ahead and keep that as a surprise whatever, but it's going to be an absolute game changer event. Mohammed just jumped in there. Nice. I can see loads of people signing up, registering right now. First link in the description. Go there, sign up. That is the place to be. If you haven't seen the screen already, then what are you doing already? And I want to mention as well, if you haven't, or if you ever get stuck at any point with your React basics knowledge, Skillshare link in the description is absolutely free. I have a free 3-hour course on Skillshare where it's broken up into 10-minute segments. I go ahead and explain everything. I explain state, props, user effect hooks, all this other stuff, how to build your own custom user effect hooks. If you want to do any of that, there's a link in the description right now. Search for it somewhere. It says too difficult to code, and it says React Basics, and it says Skillshare 1 month free access. It is an affiliate link, so it's going to support the channel, but that's going to be huge if you want to go ahead and actually help you out. Rudy says, I have 100 US to start. Whoa, damn, dude, that is incredible. It's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. But as I mentioned, guys, tomorrow is a day off. It's a break. It's a rest time. That's for your chance for you to get all of your homework done. Okay, so you have a chance, you have a day break to get all your homework done. In the past, we've done the day straight after. The problem with that is I don't give you guys enough breathing space, right? You don't have time to actually get the homework in. I want you guys to all have a fair chance of getting this done. So make sure, turn up the day after tomorrow, Sunday, 8th of August, same time, 4 p.m. BST. It's going to be crazy. All right, with that said, you guys know where to deploy your homework. Day 4 homework submission link. Simply go ahead and pop that Versal deployment URL down here into the link section. Enter your full name, your email, and then if you had any problems with it, partially completed. Otherwise, destroy the fully complete button. And you guys know what to do, guys. We are going to go ahead and wrap up here today. We crushed it. We conquered with an absolute killer Airbnb build. Customize your maps. Let me know what you guys are doing. And on that note, guys, I'm going to wrap up the way that we always do. Day 4 of the Airbnb challenge. Got one more day left. I'm going to announce winners. £10,000 worth of prizes. I'm going to give away so much free stuff. I paid a lot of money to make. So this stuff is going to be given out to the world, so that way I can help introduce as many React developers, Next.js developers, and Tailwind developers into the world as possible. This has been your boy, Papa React, aka Sunny, and I will see you all on August 8th, day 5 of the REACT.JS Next.js Airbnb challenge. Thank you, and once again, peace. Enjoy, Papa fam. Holmes, Patrick, Mohib, Karen, Angelino. Thank you, everyone. Andre Gan.